It's biopics, which is short for biography pictures or biofilms or biomovies, whatever you want to say, Tommy. It's movies based on someone's life, someone's experience, maybe more than one person's life or experience. And these movies are always Oscar bait. People love them. Right? They had a dip for a while and they've been raging for a while now that people have been all over them. So we got a deep pool of these biopics, Tommy.
It is art imitating life. It's a true story. Everybody loves a true story, don't they? We want to find out the origin, where it all began and where it all eventually ends. And that's what's so great about biopics. There's a lot of them. We want to know what your favorite biopics are. So drop them down in the comments below and let's get this show on the road here.
Yeah, indeed. There might even be some biopics that people don't even know are biopics. Like when you say them, they're like, I didn't know that was based on a real thing, but yet here it is. You got to start it off in your biopics. I kind of have a feeling where you're going, so let's just get into it. Go for it.
Man, I got to go with actually, besides biopic, this is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, period. So, we cite this movie a lot here on Rushmore, and it is Goodfellas, the great Martin Scorsese. How could you go wrong with Goodfellas, right? Scorsese, peak Scorsese. I mean, what do you think?
Is that Henry Hill's biopic? I know it's everyone's, but he's the lead, right? It's Henry Hill's biopic.
I think so. I think it starts on Henry. It starts on Henry and it ends on Henry. So for me, that makes it his pick. Yeah.
And Ray was sort of unknown, not a big giant actor at the time. Crushed the role, crushes that role. But obviously, his best work. Rest in peace, Ray Liotta. He's unbelievable in that. Do you think that's Martin Scorsese's best film?
I do.
Tommy?
I'm going to hold off on answering that because it might affect one of our future biopic selections. But I'll tell you what, it's definitely at the top. You could easily put it on a Scorsese Rushmore. Great pick. I think Henry Hill's story is just incredible. I mean, he's literally the greatest rat in the history of America, right?
Yeah.
That's what they always say.
I don't know. It's either him or Master Splinter, but yeah.
Exactly.
Who you got, bro? What's your first,
I'm going to follow up super quick, and I hate to do it, but I know where Tommy's going, so I just want to get it in before it is. I hate to double up on a Scorsese pick, but Raging Bull, I have to put Raging Bull because, I mean, the Jake LaMotta story was so fascinating. What I love about biopics, and this has recently happened to me with another one that was currently out. My favorite thing about biopics, and I think where I enjoy them more, is when I don't really know about the person. Right. When I don't know about their life, when I don't know about their trials and tribulations, when I don't know about what happened. And in the case of Jake LaMotta, I didn't know anything about Jake LaMotta. It was way before my time. I didn't know. I'd never heard of him. Even as a boxing fan, his name wasn't really synonymous with stuff I knew. And then after it, I become incredibly familiar with everything about his life. Now, I don't know how much was exaggerated. It's one of the best shot movies I've ever seen. It's one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. It's, to me, peak Scorsese. I think I might put that as his best film. My favorite part about a good biopic, because there's a lot on very famous people, and a lot of them don't do well. But my favorite is ones where, again, Goodfellas, where you go, I had no idea about any of that.
Yeah. You immediately go to Wikipedia and you're like,
you go to it, and then you want to learn. You want to learn about it. And back then, before pre-internet, when all that stuff's out, that's your first exposure to someone like Jake LaMotta.
And how ballsy of a filmmaker to shoot a movie in black and white and put it out in black and white. Like, how gorgeous is that? And my favorite part about that movie is Robert De Niro's physical transformation, where he shot the beginning of the movie, lean as a whip, in terrific shape, and then they shut down production for like 3 months, and he went on a tour of French restaurants and gained like 60 or 70 pounds, I think.
60 or 70, 60 something pounds, and he literally gained it all, and he just ate nonstop. He said he was drinking syrup and stuff. And think about Jake LaMotta, he was like 89 and 18 or something. Like,
he fought a lot.
He fought over 100 and something,
very active,
105 times. That's,
you know what I like too, production standpoint, man. Like, it was very budget conscious too, because it was like the way he shot the fight and how it blacked out the crowd. It wasn't like now you saw like a bunch of extras. It was just like he focused it all in the ring with the big light, and it was all there right before your face.
And that's a whole nother thing. What you just said, budget constraints on any movie, to me, as much as we all know, is a problem. It also sometimes produces the greatest art because you don't have what I've been noticing.
Ingenuity.
You have to be crafty. You have to figure out, you have to get creative. Where what I've noticed a lot recently is like when you have unlimited budget, the movies seem not as good. But yet when they have nothing, they seem to create, not all the time, but they seem to get a little more, creative in the process. So mine's Raging Bull. Tommy, what do you got?
Okay, well, we might as well go with the triple play of Martin Scorsese here. And I'm going to kick off with the biopic of Ace Rothstein, and that is the movie Casino.
This is crazy. 3 Martys in the first round. I love it.
Man, I just love Las Vegas, Nevada. I love the folklore behind that city. I love the bright lights. I love the showbiz connections. And I love how a lot of people don't realize this, but that whole town was built on mafia money, basically. And it's so cool to see the
Bugsy Siegel.
Yeah, it's really great to see. It's an interesting story just from a history standpoint. And, I mean, listen, I don't think we need to go on and on about Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci and the amazing performances in that film.
Wow.
And Frank Vincent. The list goes on and on, like so many legendary gangsters.
And I'll argue Pesci was better than that than he was in Goodfellas.
Yeah, well, that's another whole argument. But I like Casino more than Goodfellas. It's a hot take. A lot of people give me shit for that. But also, if you're a cinematography buff, Bob Richardson is it's classic Bob Richardson. He's blasting light at things that really don't necessarily need to be motivated. Everything's blown out, but in a beautiful way. Just a wonderful, again, to me, a masterpiece. So I'm gonna go with Casino.
I love it. I had the double VHS cassette tape of that, man. I wore that motherfucker out. What a great movie.
Love it. So I could watch it all day, every day.
Did we also, not only Scorsese, we had Bobby De Niro and Joe Pesci and all three. Right? I guess.
Hey, those guys do all right. They do all right together, don't they?
Yeah, it just shows how good, what they've accomplished, just those three alone. All right, D, what do you got for your second one?
Man, I remember when this movie came out, man, it was so powerful, dude. It was, he didn't get the Oscar for this. He got the Oscar for a later film. But to me, man, I really thought he should have got the Oscar for this. And that's Denzel Washington and Malcolm X. I thought he did a phenomenal job in that. Probably his best role of all time, or one of the. So yeah, man, I definitely want to lean forward into Malcolm X and Denzel Washington.
I just had my Malcolm X jacket on yesterday from Roots of Fight. Shout out Roots of Fight. I love that movie and I love that performance. And I think it is fascinating that he got nominated, right?
I think he got nominated, but yeah, he didn't secure the Oscar on that one.
And don't get me wrong, Training Day that he won for is fucking unbelievable.
Made up for it, right?
Yeah, it made up for it. But I think that film, again, that's Spike doing all those Spike tricks and all the stuff he was doing. And I think
the dolly shot where.
Yeah, I love Spike, and I've gotten fortunate enough to spend time with him. What I love about Spike is you can't nail down his style. Like it's always, he does all different kinds of genres of films and stuff. And, he'll go from like his more artsy creative to like these biopics to this, that. He's just an incredible filmmaker. And I thought he encompassed a lot of his style in this very serious, and he humanized and really did this figure that we didn't know a lot about with Malcolm X. And I think it's
change is going to come, man. I like that when he's in that car in the back and they got the Sam Cooke blasting and he's just looking out the window. It's just so poetic, man.
I feel like that movie was also a big part of like a pop culture wave that hit right down to like fashion. Like I remember everybody had like a lot of people wearing those like X hats. Remember like the hats that just
cross colors.
Yep. I had two in my head that I wanted to go with, but then this one hit me like a meteor, and it's I would argue it's probably one of the best performances ever on film that no one gives credit for. I think it's one of the most precise. and it was right as the wave was hitting with this exact scene too, and that's The Doors with Val Kilmer.
Oh,
I mean, him playing Jim Morrison, and I mean, that's when the Doors were really starting to take off again in pop culture, right? Like the Doors, the Beatles, but really the Doors were all over the place. And then that movie came out, and I was like, is this guy the greatest actor in the world? Because he's exactly like Jim Morrison. And Val doesn't necessarily look like Jim Morrison, and he looked exactly like him in the movie. And like his mannerisms and he was singing and doing like unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Obviously the pinnacle of Val's, Val's had some great roles, but that is the role for Val, even though I love Doc Holliday and I love, Top Gun and all that. That's the movie. But yeah, I love that movie, The Doors. I love the movie, and Oliver Stone and all, but I love Val as that character.
Yeah. It was kind of like, I remember that, bro. When it came out, it was kind of like it really brought popularity back to the Doors. Not that they weren't a big band already, but
they were away for a while.
It introduced it to a whole new generation, and like. It was a big move, man. So yeah,
it was like what Run DMC did to Aerosmith, right? It was like Aerosmith kind of went away, and then Run DMC brought him back, right? We Walk This Way. It was kind of the Doors. The Doors were around in the 70s, and then in the 80s, the disco age, they kind of went away, and then the 90s came. People like, oh wow, that music's really good. And then you heard Light My Fire everywhere, and Val was the face of it. It's crazy.
Yeah, classic rock had a major revival. Like that whole like late 60s era had a huge revival in the 90s. I remember that big time. Like suddenly kids were walking around high school wearing shirts to bands that, hadn't been playing in 25 years.
Yeah, that was me. Cool, I was obsessed with the Doors in high school. And I was like, and my stepdad was like, you listening to the Doors? I was like, everybody's listening to the Doors.
Like, what the hell are you listening to this for?
That's his band when he was 15, and he's like, wow. So I think that movie doesn't get enough credit. I never see it on any list. I don't really even hear people talking about it. I don't know why I don't see it on streaming all the time. It's just not around, and it's a great movie.
Mr. Mojo Rising.
Rising. What do you got, Tommy?
All right. So this is tough, man. There's so many of these biopics. It's crazy when you really start to think about it. Hey, listen, I'm gonna swerve. I'm going to swerve back into time. We're going to go many centuries back to a story from many, many years ago. I remember watching this movie for the first time in 6th grade and just being like, oh my God, that is so violent. I feel a little freaked out, but I also love it. And that is Mel Gibson playing William Wallace in Braveheart.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was just so in your fucking face when it came out.
That was a game changer.
The combat in that movie, I was just like, what the fuck is
fucking game changer?
Oh my God. Like
epic.
This is what it was like. Seeing
that's an epic fucking
thousands of arrows flying through the sky and spoiler alert, as a kid, it was still hard for me to realize like, whoa, wait a minute. Hang on, guys. The main character dies at the end of this biopic.
Yeah.
These things movies can end with at that, like as a child, you don't realize like, no, a lot of the great movies end with the main character dying.
Shout out Tommy Flanagan's first movie.
Oh wow.
Is that right? Cool.
Tommy Flanagan's first movie. Mel cast
bad movie to have, man. As your first movie,
he was a DJ. He was a DJ in Scotland who was like getting in a lot of trouble with all these scars and all this, and thought his life was going absolutely nowhere. And Mel cast him in that role. It's his first movie ever.
And how about Mel directing the fucking movie? Not only playing William Wallace the lead, but directing the movie.
How about it catches a lot of heat. I don't know if you guys know, a lot of people, it's been debunked, like a million things that happen in it, but who cares, right? When you talk about just like a filmmaking stance and like what the movie did and how you felt during it, and watching Robert the Bruce ride off in the end to kind of avenge it and make up for what he did, and William Wallace's relationship with his wife and all that. Listen, I wasn't around during those times. Nobody was. I don't know what's true and what's not. I just know that he made a fucking incredible movie in Braveheart.
Were you entertained?
I was fucking entertained with that movie. And that, to me, if you're going that far back, who's anybody to say anything? We don't know. But, man, I just love that movie. I got to work with a lot of people from that movie because of Flanagan. Some came on Sons, but you got Brendan Gleeson, who really broke out in that movie, and a lot of other people that were it's just an incredible movie. And what Mel did, how he made that, wrote, directed, produced, starred. Wow.
A lot of work.
Wow. And he's not doing that in like $1 million indie movie.
Man, that's an epic. It's like I said, it's an epic, bro. It's like you've got like 2,000 extras. You know what I mean? It's just like crazy, bro.
Yeah, I love seeing the photos of him like in his William Wallace gear with the megaphone, like pointing like where he wants everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, Flanagan said he had a masseuse. Right? He had a masseuse with him at all times, like literally right next to him. And it's like nobody ever thought it was pretentious or anything, because this guy was literally crushing.
Well, you're holding this. Well, and you're holding a broadsword and shit all day. What the fuck?
Yeah, great pick.
Yeah, you know, man. On my third pick, I gotta follow up on like kind of what you were talking with Val Kilmer on The Doors, man. I think sometimes, anytime someone can, I guess you could say mimic. Whether it's through the voice, the look, and everything like that, I think you're in line for like a great performance. And what comes to mind to me first is Jamie Foxx, man, probably one of the most talented actors in Hollywood, hands down.
Everything,
and Ray,
talented in everything.
Yeah,
not just acting.
Ray,
Ray,
singing, whatever, right? I thought he fucking crushed it. I thought that was kind of his coming out party. He got the Oscar,
I mean, I think Booty Call before it, which I loved. But
wow, that's a deep cut.
I love Booty Call. I love Booty Call.
Isn't Bill Bellamy in that too?
Tommy Davidson. Yeah, it's a great movie. Davidson. I think a lot of people might say that's got to be up there as one of the greatest performances of all time. I mean, he has his eyes, glued shut, like he would, kept his eyes shut. He's an incredible musician. There's some great behind the scenes YouTube videos of him playing piano with Ray. And Ray knowing that he's like the one, like, like basically saying like that, you got it. Like, and there's because he was such a great musician, and he has such an incredible ability to mimic, and he did it in a way that it wasn't cartoony. Like he literally became him. And that's what acting is. It's
I
amazing.
remember seeing something about that where like the first time he met Ray.
Yeah. They have it on video. It's on YouTube.
He was like, play something for me.
Yeah.
And he was like nervous as can be. And he's like, oh my God. Okay, here we go. And there he is playing with Ray.
And then Ray started playing with him, and then they both got into it. And he knew, Ray said in the interview, he's like, I knew right there, that's the guy. Like the way I heard everything.
What a mega talent, man.
And Jamie Foxx never looked back after that. You know what I mean? Like he's been
you're right.
Ethos since, so
one of the first famous people I ever met in LA when I was waiting tables and bartending at this place. And I have nothing but high praise for how he was to me and everybody there.
That's cool to hear that he's a nice human being too. Wouldn't you say Ray was kind of the first of many like music biopics that kind
I was
of
thinking
became
that.
a thing?
Yeah. I think that Gary Busey, I don't want to ruin it for anybody saying, but there were a few before it. And
no, there were, but like a revival. It was a revival.
It was the revival.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely the revival. And that's why this is so hard, because there's so many great picks. And what I'm trying to do is where I'm reversing course on my own set of thinking was ones that impacted me, where I was at the time and how I felt, because I can literally list off 20 that I think are fantastic movies. I don't know if The Doors is one of the greatest movies. I just know that in that moment, it changed my life. I was listening to The Doors all the time. I love the movie. I love whatever. All right. I'm going to say one. I'll keep it in music first. To me, it was an iconic film. I was a young kid. Again, another one where the song became very, very, very popular after the movie was very popular when the person was around. La Bamba. La Bamba.
Dude, that was my next one, bro. You stole
Dude. Richie.
Bro. Let me tell you, man, as a person of color, that movie probably affected me probably more than any movie coming up as a kid, man.
What a movie.
Because I'm like, that dude kind of looks, this guy got the brown skin. I'm
Come
like,
on.
yeah, man, Richie, bro. Bob's running through the fucking heart.
How does people not like
Richie's
every
the
time
man.
I watch an 80s recollection, anytime I watch something on like, when they put together like these things I send you on these movies, these montages, it's always La Bamba, right? Always La Bamba. Why do people not talk about that movie anymore? Like, why is that not?
It, bro.
How famous was that movie when it came out? How big was
tell
the
you
songs
what,
by Los
let me
Lobos and everybody?
Let me tell you something, man. When I was a kid in I think it came out in 87, but in 88 it made its way to HBO, right? And you know, back then when they had like what 10 movies, they played them every day,
Over and
all
over.
day.
Every day of the week.
Bro, I watched that movie like every fucking day for the summer of 88, man. I loved it, man.
How
You know,
good
that is
movies.
it's just it's so good. It's really well done. And here's the thing. People today could never possibly fathom this, but that plane crash, like killing Richie Valens, the Big Bopper,
Big Bopper.
Buddy Holly, losing
Yeah.
those three guys on the same fucking plane would be
That's
like
crazy.
today if Kanye,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
like name three of the biggest artists and put
The
them on
day
a
the
plane.
music
Swift,
died.
yeah.
American Pie. It's the day
Like,
the music died.
yeah, people
Yep,
can't
yep.
possibly fathom how fucking tragic that was and what a hit to music that was.
And back to Bob, man. Esau Morales, dude. What a fucking G, bro.
What a G,
What
bro.
a
He was just
G,
the bad
man.
guy in Mission Impossible. He's got a big resurgence happening now. But I get to
was
spend a
so-
lot of time with Lou Diamond Phillips. We have the same
Mhm.
promoter for the con, so we're together a lot.
Do you call
Man.
him Lou or Lou Diamond? How's that work?
I think everybody says Lou Diamond, but I call him Lou.
They call him Lou double.
A lot
you
of
get
people
both,
do.
both
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Lou Diamond. Hey, Lou
I'm
Diamond.
a big fan of his, bro. I'm a
Same,
big fan.
same.
You know, that and Young Guns, obviously those two
Young
are my
Guns
Young Guns is
childhood.
very underrated.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
very underrated.
But the performance he put in that movie, and by the way, got no credit. There's no Oscars, there's no noms, there's no none. But commercially, that movie had taken over the zeitgeist, like took over. And again, it's one of those movies that where the audience and the critics kind of don't match up. But man, you talk about staying power. That movie's forever.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. It's
I
so
need a La Bamba
influ-
rewatch.
It's so influential for me, man. Because when I saw it, I was like, bro, this guy
Come
kinda
on.
looks, you know, got
He was
got
young
same
at the
look,
time,
man.
right? He was young at
Yeah,
the time.
and
He was
I'm
young
like,
dude.
wow, bro, really cool, man.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Got it.
I got to pivot now, man.
2 or 3
You
others. Go ahead.
motherfucker.
Okay.
You got to pivot. Go.
Yeah.
Tommy might make you pivot again.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. This one, again, it's like Theo said, it's all about where you were in the moment in time. This is an era when I started really paying attention to movies because I wanted to maybe get involved in this crazy game. And this movie won a very big movie star, an Oscar. Julia Roberts won an Oscar for this one, and that is Erin Brockovich. I really like this movie a lot. Julia just crushed it. I'm a big Julia Roberts fan. And this was her kind of just like getting her due and doing her thing, and she just kind of carries the whole film. And Aaron Eckhart is really great.
Yeah,
he's really great. He's in there doing his thing.
It was a big movie. It was a real.
It's a
big
great movie.
for her.
I feel
She
horrible,
got the,
man.
She got the Oscar.
I've never seen it, bro.
Oh, she's really good. It's a good movie.
I should.
Yeah, it's a good
Julia
movie.
tears the cover off the ball in this movie.
Yeah, she's really good. Definitely. I mean, obviously, Pretty Woman because it's her coming out. But I mean,
that's not a true story.
It's not a true story. But I'm saying,
I mean,
like,
it
for
happens
her,
all the time. But
probably her best performance, right, Erin Brockovich?
I mean, in terms of getting the Oscar, I guess you could say, but I think you're right. I think fans of Julia Roberts
Acting wise, I think people are like, that's her best performance.
Yeah, she plays a struggling mom who discovers this like crazy kind of chemical spill event that is trying to be hidden, and it's a true story, and she got retribution for a lot of people that lost a lot, right down to
you should watch it. It's a good movie. It's very well shot too. It's a very good movie. That's an outside the box pick for me. What do you got, D? Let's go.
Man, I'm pivoting. We're gonna fall off the trend, man, and I got to pivot off La Bamba, man. It really hurt me, by the way, man. God damn. But yeah, man, this is definitely gonna go against the grain. I got to go with the movie Gia, man. That was a really good
I loved that movie when I was young, man.
Yeah.
Gia, I've never seen it.
Angelina Jolie.
She was so gorgeous, man, and like
let me look this
so
one
much
up.
Potential, and then like to her,
Gia?
she died of AIDS.
I love that movie, man.
It's a beautiful movie, man. And it goes back to what we were talking about. Like I didn't know that much about her, and afterwards, I mean, after I saw it the first time, of course, it was at the internet, but I was just like so enamored with like how because obviously she was a gorgeous supermodel, right? And it's like, how did her life just go from just got tied up with the wrong people, man.
Yeah, that's an incredible pick and such an unknown to so many and such a good movie, right? And it's like, you know, she was Girl Interrupted and, you know, Hackers and really starting to like put her stamp on things. But that movie,
Gia Karanji.
Yeah, great movie.
I'll
Great
have
movie.
to check
Tommy,
that
you got to
one out.
watch it. It's
He's
beautiful.
We're gonna do
Angelina
a
Jolie.
trade-off. I'm gonna watch
same
Gia.
birthday. We're born the same day, same year. All right,
Demetrius will watch Aaron Brockovich. We'll compare notes.
Done.
I'll go with my final, and I'm going with it because of the way it made me feel. I have other ones that made me feel certain things at certain times, but I think that this film, well, maybe I know people have certain feelings about the actor, but to me, it's like the way this movie felt for me at the time. Maybe it'd be my own non-relationship with my birth father and all that, but Pursuit of Happiness, when I saw that, it's based on a true story of Chris Gardner. That movie tore me up. It hit me, and it was so triumphant. It was so honest, the performance that he was with his son and the way he was talking to him, and, you know, never let anybody tell you who you are or what you're worth, and like what he went through to get to what he was going to do. And it was just, again, it felt like almost like Rocky in the business world kind of thing of like this overcoming. And I absolutely love the movie. I think he was nominated for it, Will. And it's an underdog story. And I just, that's when I used to like love going to the movie, and you come out just feeling like charged, like, you know, electrified when you come out, like, wow, I can conquer the world, you know, just from seeing this hour and a half, 2 hour, you know, piece of art.
I'm just thinking, man, Will Smith's got a lot of biopics, actually.
He does, yeah.
He was Mr. Biopic for a long time.
Yeah.
He crushed it in that movie. Crushed it. So, you know, there's a bunch of others, but I'm going to put that as my fourth. What do you got, Tommy?
Well, I am going to go with, this is tough, but, you know, again, another outside of the box one. I really love this movie. A lot of people probably haven't seen this one, but the story of Harvey Picar.
Oh, I loved it.
And it is
Paul,
American Splendor.
Great.
Yeah, American Splendor starring Paul Giamatti. Really great kind of, it's an outside of the box pick because it's an outside of the box movie. It features the actual Harvey Picar within the film itself, but not quite in interviews. Like they're in this odd comic book world because the guy's a comic book writer.
So good.
It's just a really interesting movie, really well done, and kind of a great story of just this kind of curmudgeon-y guy who, you know, actually has a lot of love to give despite being kind of rough around the edges. So check out that film. You know, I don't think Giamatti got nominated for it, but he should have. It was a great performance.
Did he not?
Did he maybe? We'll check it out. You know what?
What an astounding!
I need to watch that too, bro. I gotta brush up.
Oh
on this
man,
one,
that's a really well
this
stylized movie. It's a really good movie. I mean, listen, he's one of the greatest actors around that one. I mean, he works all the time. He gets a lot of credit. The Howard Stern movie, Private Parts Alone, he should have gotten. He's outrageous and everything. Barney's version. He did a movie called Barney's Version. If nobody's seen it. Yeah, Billions. He's just an outrageous actor. But yeah, that movie is I'm glad you picked that. That's such a definitely a great film. Is that our 4 or D? You got to go. Or you want
man. I think that's it. I think we're
all right.
No, that's everyone. Why don't we do a quick
quick
lightning round of honorable mentions, and then we'll save it for the Patreon.
Go, D.
Brian Song, man. Jimmy Kahn, dude. Billy D. Williams. One of my favorite movies, man. Every
Apollo
time I
13.
see it, I lose
Apollo 13. I'm going to start
tears.
rocking him out. Brian's on Apollo 13.
I'm going to say I got 2 quick ones for you. Donnie Brasco.
Ooh, why didn't anybody pick that?
Because I think that, you know, you could look at it. Johnny Depp's had a great career, but I think that might be his best just straight up performance and character arc, from like FBI guy to like kind of vicious gangster guy. I love that movie. And I got another one for you. Selena.
Great
the
one.
story, you know, J-Lo is phenomenal in that movie. And Edward James Olmos is plays the kind of you know, hard-nosed father who's encouraging these kids to be these
It's a
stars.
bustier. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's just a great movie, and what a tragic ending. And you know, who knows, man? I'll tell you what. You need to go on YouTube and look up some of Selena's actual concerts. There's a concert of Selena live from the Houston Astrodome. It's on YouTube. Just watch Selena in action, and you'll be mesmerized and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh wow! Like this woman was about to be a fucking megastar. Like who knows what would have happened for Selena if she hadn't been killed."
What about Tombstone?
Yeah, her voice was next level, bro.
Tombstone?
Who?
Tombstone.
About the Cowboys. Yeah, the Cowboys.
What? Yeah.
That's the story. That's the story of the Dallas Cowboy. The true story of the Dallas Cowboys, right?
But D, isn't there so many that you think like we're not even talking about Ali with Will? We're not talking about there's so many, right?
Guys,
that,
let's go to Patreon.
Patreon.
Come on.
All right, we gotta go. We gotta go.
All right,
hey,
guys,
listen,
thank you very
that's
much.
Biopics. If you've made it this far, I mean, God bless you, first of all, because I wouldn't have. But if you did, and you made it this far, subscribe, like it, share it, but more importantly, tell us what your biopics are. Tell us what you like, what you think, and then have us scrutinize it and tell you that we don't think so, or we do think so. But we appreciate you either way. Tommy and his hat say goodbye. We'll see you on Patreon where we talk about some really bad biopics, and there's a few of them. All right.
Deuces.
Deuces.